Call this meeting to order. City of Groves, notice of a regular meeting of the City Council, City Council Chambers, Groves City Hall, April 24th, 2023 at 5 p.m. You would all rise for the prayer and pledge, please.
Father, we come before you in prayer and we give you thanks, Father, for this city, for the citizens, and for this council. Father, we ask of you that you please be with us and guide us in the direction and make the decisions that are pleasant to you. Father, we also ask of you that you please be with the first responders, citizens of the city, and this council. Through Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you very much. Item 2, roll call. City Clerk.
Mayor Bourne,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Here.
Councilmember Dugas. Here. Councilmember Oliver.
Here.
Councilmember Menzel.
Here. I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's meeting. Item 4 on the agenda, we approve the minutes of the April 10th, 2023 City Council meeting.
I make a motion we approve the minutes of the April 10th, 2023 City Council meeting. Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the April 10th, 2023 City Council meeting. Do I have any questions? No questions. Vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams. Aye. Councilmember Menzel.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Dugas.
Aye.
Motion passes. 4, City Manager, do we have any reports?
I have one report. I was approached this week or past week by a gentleman that's buying the old Renaissance Hospital. And he was wanting to know if he could, approach council about doing a tax abatement. Now, there's gonna be a lot of questions about it. I know that y'all have plenty for him and he'll need to have a lot of information. But we were thinking maybe it could be more of a workshop first to do that. It might be easier for all of y'all to have more freedom to ask questions on that. So if y'all would like the workshop versus putting it on the agenda item, I would put it on the agenda for next council meeting to, schedule that workshop, if that's what y'all would rather do.
So we would just discuss basically what his plans and schedules are.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's wanting to go through EDC for a tax abatement?
I think I don't think it's through EDC, but I'm not real sure. That's why I was wanting to do the, workshop so that you could ask any type of question that you want.
Okay,
On
because, we have a contract written up
Mhm.
for that type of thing.
Okay.
It can be adjusted.
Okay, well,
The
if
workshop sounds
if it's EDC or
Workshop.
with the workshop, I think you could guide either way, council or EDC on that.
Okay.
So if y'all are all in favor of that, I'll look for scheduling that on the next, agenda.
I'm good with that.
Thank you for that.
Any other reports?
Not my knowledge, no, sir.
Any citizen comments at this time? Any citizen comments? Item 6, A, we consider awarding the bid for the 2021 GLO CDBG DR Street Improvements Project Phase 3. GLO contract number 20065-039 C120 for Gulf Coast, the low bidder, in the amount of $501,085.
Make a motion, we consider awarding the bid for the 2021 GLO CDBG DR Street Improvements Project Phase 3. GLO contract number 20-065-029 C120. Gulf Coast, the low bidder, in the amount of $501,085.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second to consider awarding the bid for the 2021 GLO CDBG DR Street Improvements Project Phase 3. GLO contract number 20065-039 C120. Gulf Coast, the low bidder, in the amount of $501,085. Do I have any questions? I believe we got a memo on this.
Yes, sir. And, we have Susan from Waxman and Associates here as well. I'm just trying to get that out, as much information to y'all beforehand, so y'all could look at that on there. But as you can see, we'll have about $375,766.03 remaining from phase 2 of the GLO. And we have, approximately $400,000 in our budget. So we could get Jackson and Royal done, and it would cost the city $125,318.97.
Is that above the proposed budget?
Yeah, that would be because we have that remainder of the grant money. We would have to go and put that much money from the city, because it would be above the award.
Would that come out of the street budget?
Yes, ma'am.
What's the plan for the 46,000?
That's just in case something else happens the rest of the year. We have like maybe to buy some materials or anything like that.
So that's gonna be kept separate for materials, is that what you're saying, or is it?
No, ma'am, that budget balance that I have on the city side, that's actually part of the second phase, part of, actually B is what that would be from out of this. On the GLO grant, we just be responsible for $125,318.97.
But the 46,000 is going to be, for any additional materials or something like that?
That would be what we have in that streets budget line item left over after both of these projects. If we award both of these projects, that's what we would have in the budget still
So
remaining.
if anything would run over, you'd have a little bit of cushion there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What's the date that this money has to be used by?
Susan?
October of next year.
Okay.
We have one
plenty of
more
time.
year on our time.
So
Okay,
it's-
good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You also have the working days on there for all those projects, that they awarded. Now, Royal was in really bad shape. So this would be a big boost for Royal, and that would finish up, I believe, all those streets in that area, Troy.
What part of Jackson?
Jackson from from Lincoln to Grant, is that it, Troy? Jackson portion of it? Finish it up in front of the park, go all the way down to Grant. Oh,
And what are we doing on Montrose?
that's in a separate one. That one is actually in part of B. Right now, this is just part of A that we're on.
Well, all of this had already been decided previously.
As far as the streets, yes, ma'am, but not the amounts.
Okay.
Is that correct, Troy?
Because I went back reading and just wanted to make sure.
Any other questions? No other questions? Vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wenzel.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Dugas.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 6B, consider awarding the bid for the 2023 city street improvement program for Montrose and Adams to Gulf Coast, the low bidder, in the amount of $228,502.
I'll make a motion to award the contract for the street improvement of Montrose and Adams to Gulf Coast in the amount of $228,502.
And second.
I have a motion and a second to consider awarding the bid for the 2023 city street improvement program for Montrose and Adams to Gulf Coast, the low bidder, in the amount of $228,502. Do I have any questions?
If you look at this, I notice you'll see at the top, the bid for Montrose is actually $250,742.50. Well, when you do it with the GLO, you got to do everything on it. And through the engineering, Troy and had said that they had redone the base for Montrose, what, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Roughly 3 years ago, and it's still in great condition, it just needs to be capped. So we talked with, Waxman, and we've talked with the engineers, and they said that since it's we're in our control on this, we can just do the capping of the road with asphalt through Gulf Coast, and it's $75,110 based off of the bid, breakdown, for it. So we would pay a lot less for Montrose, and it fits in our budget with all this, and we can also get Adams in there as well under our street program, and that's where we still have that 46,000 left in our line item for the budget if we do this.
When you say Adams, which end of Adams? Toward
Troy,
or
From Cleveland to, what's that next one, Beaumont? Anyways, that top section of Adams, from Cleveland to the next street, what is it?
Lincoln. Cleveland to Lincoln. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm going from, Cleveland to, no, it would be, McKinley. Roosevelt.
You want to just start naming some presidents? Go through the list, you want to start at the beginning?
Yeah, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank right now. I'm supposed to know that better than
It's
that.
the top section on the
It
chart.
it has been a little while, yes.
One small section.
Adams runs from Heritage.
Oh, it's a small section?
Yeah.
So it'd be from
All the way up.
Cleveland to the next street,
Yes,
like you said, okay.
It's one block.
Cleveland,
Yeah, let's see.
Adams. Yeah, we're saying past Cleveland.
don't ask me to name all that streets.
So that project would altogether cost us $228,502. Is that right?
228,612. Yes, ma'am. For both of those projects.
We don't hear for 502.
Yeah,
Where you looking
And the motion was made for 502.
On the paperwork it says 612.
Paperwork says 612. Motion was made for 502.
Wait, you're talking about,
we'll have to redo that.
Montrose and Adams?
Look here. You see that? You see that?
Oh, that was before we found.
You see that? There's a-
Oh, okay,
Oh,
okay. I'm sorry. We didn't change it on the agenda, I'm sorry. The figure that you have in the spreadsheet here, that is the correct. We do need to amend that motion. I apologize for that mistake on that.
We can just amend the dollar amount.
Yeah. 228,612 is what the contract would be for.
Okay, I'll make my motion to include the change of the amount from 228,502 to 228,612.
A second.
Have a motion and a second to amend the motion from 228,502 to 228,612. We're still under question. Any other questions? No other questions, vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams. Aye. Councilmember Vincent.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver. Councilmember Dugas.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 6C, discuss possible changes to fees for game room applications.
I make a motion that we discuss possible changes to fees for the game room applications. Oh, okay. Well, it says discuss possibilities. So do we just start the discussion? We're not gonna have a second.
Yeah, there's no motion required, so we can just talk about it.
Okay. I had several questions. Mr. Monk has, some information. One of the things I was thinking about, and Mr. Monk, we spoke briefly about this before, city council, so if I leave something out, please bring it up.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. One of the things that I would like to change is some of these fees, like for instance, the $400 for the regulatory license fee per machine. We could increase that to 1,000 per machine. Is that correct, Mr. Martin?
Yes, so for the regulatory license fee, there's discretion for the cities, the way the case law has evolved. The consideration that the city is supposed to take into account is the cost for enforcement. And that to me would include, inspections. It would include, police and building inspections. And any enforcement costs associated with that are fair to include or used to increase the fee for the machines.
Right, because some of this is regulated by the state and.
The state has a statute on the subject. As of right now, the state, to the extent that it conflicts with city law, might preempt city law. So we have to be careful if it's spelled out in the state law that we consider that and consider that right now there's not a case that preempts and says, look, the local municipality can override what the state says.
Something else is, I was thinking, along the lines that we could, instead of 300 feet, do 1,000 feet and add residential area. I don't know if we can do that. Mr. Monk can tell us.
So there's a case right now going up to the Texas Supreme Court that's likely to decide that. The current ruling from the Court of Appeals, which is not necessarily a final decision on the issue, says that the state law is specific as to the distance, and it says it's 300 feet. So right now, in the current state, we probably should leave that alone.
300 feet, okay. So do we have discretion where the application fee is concerned? And then you can speak to the renewal fee.
Yeah, you do have discretion on application fee and renewal fee, but again, the consideration is what is the cost to the city to take in the application, review it, and same for the renewal. And you're not supposed to get out of line in terms of what the cost is for the manpower for the city. In other words, this is not an opportunity to raise revenue.
Right. And my idea was not, we'd already spoken, but my idea is not raising revenue, but putting that money back into the department that has to go out and do these things, do the inspections and handle the applications and all of that.
As long as you're increasing the fee for regulation expense, then you're okay.
My question would be, how does this affect existing game rooms operating now?
We currently have, it's my understanding, one application, that's a yearly application. That same application is renewed each year. So each year, the requirement would be that the game room or renewal will fill out the same application going forward.
So forward from now, it will be included in the.
Correct.
Personally, I'd like a little bit more time to study all of this and case law with it and all of that. But those are just a couple of things. Did I leave anything out?
No, I think those are the big areas. I think that, there is some uncertainty in the law right now. It could be that that case comes down and decides that the city could have more control. But right now, I think you'd be in good standing to adjust the regulatory or licensing fees.
Do we have any idea right now what it cost us for an application process?
I do not.
Don?
Well, since we're doing the specific use permit, the specific use permit is $250 every time you apply for it.
Understand?
The time I have to spend putting it in the newspapers, I think each time it's $45, $50.
Somewhere around there.
And
So this cost is in addition to the specific use permit.
well, the 250 is supposed to cover the advertisements, to get sending out the letters, the time I use during city time, having to get all the information gathered, send out letters to the property owners around there within 200 feet. Meeting also with the planning and zoning commissioners that then bring it for going public hearing and then come back with the other approvals or votes on that application.
And that's just for the specific use permit?
Yes, sir.
Once the specific use is granted, that's where these fees would come in. So after the specific use is granted, what time do you have in investigating or setting up one of these applications?
Once a year, the fire department and myself go back out there to the establishment. We'll go over it, make sure nothing is, they either added something or,
5, 10, 15 hours?
no, probably on the yearly inspection is probably about an hour.
Yes.
Just for that, you know, for that inspection.
He has.
The money that you use for the newspaper, sometimes you have to do more than one advertisement in it, one announcement in it. But do you have enough money in the budget for that? Or is it, you know, just right on the edge there? Because if you have to do more than once, that's additional
Right, the
expense.
$250 is supposed to be, covers that cost of whatever I put into it as far as advertising, sending out letters, and that I use to cover that, specific, request. But 250 is supposed to cover everything.
Does it though?
I want to say it's real close, but you know, everything's going up, it's everything from advertisements to sending out letters.
But if that's the issue, we would need to increase the specific use permit fee, not the application fee, not this fee.
That would be up to you guys.
Well, I understand. I'm making a point.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If the specific use is not covered, then that fee needs to be increased.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I guess we have one operating game room at this time. They pay these fees, Lamar, or the ones that are set forth right now?
Yes, sir.
To your knowledge, have we ever run a negative balance in what we have to do to keep these running based on the fees that they pay already?
To my knowledge, no, but I'll be honest, I have no idea what PD does with their portion of it and how much time's involved with that. They're usually the ones that kind of run the whole process, once the application comes in. And it
So
doesn't,
we would need to find out from city marshal what his requirements are that he has to do on top of what Don and the fire department does. To go along with, we need to stay in lines with the financially, this is not for us to make money. This is just to cover our cost in doing so.
I think that's right. I mean, there are a number of requirements in the ordinance that deal with the building itself in terms of blackout windows and certain requirements for parking. And so there may be other inspections that would be considered as part of the cost aspect of it, but you're focused on the right things. Sure.
Okay, well, as far as parking goes, we can look at the parking, or the ordinance for the parking positions in the game room, ordinance. There, I was reading it last night. I'm sorry, I didn't memorize it, but we can increase the parking needed for that.
Good. There's a few different ways you could deal with that. You could increase the parking generally in zoning, or you could deal with it for each specific use application and consider the parking needed for that particular site.
Okay, and as far as enforcement goes, we don't, I don't know if we have anything in the ordinance that specifically says any specific amount of time that we would go out and inspect the game room itself.
Not a number of inspections or the frequency, that's not spelled out in the statute.
Right, and that would kind of back us into a corner depending on personnel and that kind of thing.
I'm just careful about committing police department resources at any given time, you know, on a routine schedule, because I think that, you know, ultimately, that should be at their discretion.
Okay, but enforcement would need to take place as far as going on a certain amount of time and inspecting the building to make sure, and the area to make sure that it's all in compliance.
Routine and frequent inspections would be needed.
Okay, I don't know if we have that in the ordinance, the verbiage in the ordinance.
Not that makes it mandatory, just the requirements that are imposed on the business at this time.
Okay, I would like to look at putting that as mandatory. And I don't see any reason why we can't increase the fees that, per machine. I mean, this is something to look at also.
What would be, just a question, what would be the motive behind increasing the fees?
What's the motive?
Yeah,
Well, I don't want game rooms in groves. And I think that if we,
so that, then why don't you just say let's outlaw game rooms?
excuse me,
Just say outlaw game rooms, change the ordinance to outlaw game rooms.
well, I think that comes in, you have to.
If that's what you're trying to do, then
I
just
think
do
what you
it.
have to do is also look at the state law where that is concerned. And we do have discretion to raise those fees. Is that correct?
Yes, you have discretion to raise the fees.
I'm not trying to make it easy. I would like grows to not have an influx of game rooms. If you want a lot of game rooms in, then, we can decrease some of this stuff.
I think it's created some issues here in the past, for the city. And, me personally, I would rather make it a little more stringent, for any applications that would come in to, deter, maybe limit, not to say it's gonna stop it. I know I've got pictures on my phone here recently, maybe just back last year where they cut the whole backside of the building out.
The game room cut the backside of the building out,
No, they-
or thieves cut the back. Okay, so we're gonna outlaw game rooms to prevent thieves.
Nobody said anything about outlawing a game room. We're not
We're
talking about
saying
that.
it's what it drew there.
Look, if we can do this to the letter of the law, why not? And protect groves and the residents in the meantime. I don't see any reason not to. Because I want to protect the people of this city and I want to protect the city.
And I do think that we need to look at what it draws in the city. Would that not be something that would be concerning
What do you
to
think?
us as
Do you have a
council?
problem with people who use game rooms?
Seriously,
Sometimes the caliber of people that it brings into the city.
if you want more game rooms, just say so.
I didn't bring this up, you did,
Yes, I did. I most certainly did. I brought it up.
and I just asked you motives, and that's,
Last
you clearly stated them, no problem.
That's why it's on the agenda, because I brought it up. But I think Mr. Monk can give us, information as to exactly what the letter of the law states, and we can push it to the letter of the law. I don't see any reason not to. I think protecting groves and the people of this city is of the utmost importance. And I don't think having a lot of game rooms in our city is protecting them. I mean, how much sales tax do they bring in? How much property tax? How much problems with the police? How many thieves? How many this, that, and the other? I mean, people that want to use their money for game rooms, that's their money. I have nothing to say about that, but protecting the residents of this city and going by what they tell me they don't want it here, that's what I'm doing.
Or local business.
That is a local business.
And sometimes it infringes on other businesses in that same area.
Is $1,000 the limit?
No, there's on the regulatory fees, it's not statutory limited. It's really about what your resources are. And some of those figures came from neighboring municipalities.
Okay.
So there are other cities that do have $1,000 per machine.
Correct.
Does their ordinances somewhat follow what maybe we're trying to establish here?
I think we're in line with the neighboring municipalities. I think
But it's for a reason that this was done, correct?
absolutely. I think everybody is struggling with how to manage this within the restrictions by state law. Because state law does seem to allow their existence, most municipalities haven't found a way thus far without that Texas Supreme Court decision to say we just won't allow them at all.
We don't know when the Supreme Court decision would be.
We do not.
Okay. And is this, I was thinking about this, is this kind of in line with protecting casinos?
Well, there's a constitutional amendment that deals with the prohibition of lotteries. And so in that sense, it does. And there's been a little bit of a loophole that's been carved out despite that constitutional prohibition.
Well, I was reading about the fuzzy animal law.
Right.
Did you read about that?
Yes,
Okay.
that's the name they give the prizes.
Yeah. So, Mr. Monk, you can work something up for us?
I don't necessarily, I think we need another agenda item where we would discuss specific changes.
Okay, so what I mean is with all that's been said here today and what we know, you could work us up some guidelines?
I can work up guidelines.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. And email it.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other discussion? 7, nothing for the city attorney. 8, city manager invoices.
Okay, invoice list for April 24th, 2023. Delta Industrial Service, new gear for new hires and replacement of old gear, $8,099.18. Delta Services and Industrial Supply, replacement for volunteer firefighters, $8,941.18. DXI Industries, CL2 and SO2 for wastewater plant, $9,646.20. Fuel Man of Lafayette, gas and diesel for March 2023, $21,377.02. Control Automations, new control panel for centrifuge, I believe that's at the wastewater facility plant, $59,500. Lower Natchez Valley Authority, raw water purchased, $22,777.04. Motorola Solutions, new radios for the police department, $26,785.65. Neutron Electrical, high service number 4 pump went out 3 months, out of warranty. Pump solutions repaired at a discounted price, $6,950. Neutron Electrical Services, heater to be installed for high service number 4 to prevent moisture, $8,275. Republic Services, collection of commercial dumpsters, March 2023, $7,132.64. Republic Services, March sludge disposal, $8,390.31. South Texas Surveyors, engineering services for the 2022-2023 CLFRF pipe bursting project, 50% complete, $6,856.25. South Texas Surveyors, Fire Station Street Program, Gulf, Dole, and Washington, $21,757. Texas Pride Utilities, pay application number 3 for 2022-2023 CLFRF pipe bursting project, $148,604.40. Texas Pride Utilities, pay application number 4 for 2022-2023 CLFRF pipe bursting project, $158,446.80. Walton, Deshawn, and Yunker, financial year ending 2022 audit final bill, $11,500. And WC Tractor, Washington County Tractor, repair of the slope mower, $5,738.58, for a total of $540,777.25 for April 24th.
Can I make a motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I make a motion that we approve the invoice list for April 24th, 2023.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the invoice list for April 24th, 2023. Do I have any questions?
I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
On the program Gulf Avenue, Doyle and Washington for the fire station.
Mhm.
Okay, what exactly is that now?
That's the street repair for the bond, that we're gonna use bond money to
Okay,
repair
so
those streets around the fire
It's
station.
the rest of that money that we talked about to put aside for the streets.
Yes, ma'am.
Around that area.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and on, Wathen, Duchamp, and Junker, why are we paying them an additional 11,500? Because we paid them 20,000.
That's their contract price for the audit. The 20,000 was the first portion. This is the final portion.
Okay, so it's 31,500 for that audit.
That's correct.
They were over $4,000 more than the previous year.
The audit, no, this should be in line with its contracted price. There's a slight escalator each year, but it's not gonna be that large.
Okay,
I'll be happy to give you the contract for your review. Absolutely.
well, no, I was looking at the past invoice lists and what we paid them and paid, that other auditor, starts with the 16,000.
Oh, the internal auditor? Okay.
Okay, him,
Mhm.
and it was, for, Waltham, I kept saying 15,950, I think it was for them. And then the 20,000, when I looked at that, that's over $4,000 more than what we had paid them previously.
I'll be happy to give you the contract. You can review the contract amounts. It's in line with what the contract is.
So is this what we've been paying them every year?
Yes, ma'am. A little less each year, but there's a slight escalation.
I didn't see it on the invoice list,
That's
and I was
fine.
going back, years.
Sure, I'll be happy to give you the copy of the
on the
contract.
website.
Yes, ma'am. Not a problem.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No other questions, vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams. Aye. Councilmember Wenzel.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Dugas.
Hi,
Motion passes. Item 9, councilmember comments. I had the privilege of attending the Casey Fetters Golf Tournament this weekend that the city donated some motel tax to. It was a great showing, 33 teams, 36 teams. They're gonna raise quite a bit of money for the Fetters Center, and that was a great deal. It was a beautiful day, and the KC's put on a great show when they do their stuff. So again, thank the city for helping out with that. It's a great cause. Any other council member comments?
Mr. Vito,
Yes, ma'am.
could we ask them how much they raised?
Sure.
And,
They do a presentation. They'll tell us.
okay, good.
And I think they invite y'all to the check ceremony every year.
Okay.
Council's always invited.
Yeah.
When they present the check to the Fetters Foundation. They'll do it at Casey Hall. They'll serve them book, things like that.
Will we get an email on it?
You should get an actual invitation, but
Okay.
I'm sure that'll be.
I thought they sent out actual invitations.
I think
I'll
they
double
do.
check on it. I'll make sure.
Thank you.
Any other comments? We do have a public hearing immediately after this, but we will adjourn at 5:38. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I have that memorized. So it's Harrison, yeah, from Cleveland to Harrison. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm alive.
Oh, at the library, that was the library, yeah, we did do an event each year, during the summer, a day over there, so that was
That's fun.
It is, yes. Oh, that group was little, but they were, some of them were probably only about 3 years old.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were probably anywhere from about 3 to 6. She does a real good job over there. I had to go over there the other day just to back, so. Yeah. So like, it's 20 more years. Oh, yeah.
I read that deal about the view.
Miss Lydia, Miss Lydia, thank you for the,
There's some parts of it, but I
the
didn't.
information on the application.
Pretty neat.
Is that what you-
Everybody ready? Call this public hearing to order 5:40. We have a notice of a public hearing. Notice hereby given that a joint public hearing between the city council members and the planning and zoning commissioners will be held on Monday, April 24th, 2023, directly following the regular city council meeting, which begins at 5 p.m. at 3947 Lincoln Avenue, requested by the owner of the property listed herein to consider a rezoning request from Luis Espinoza for 5589 Gulfway Drive, tract 19A, 1.430 called 1.4302 acres of land replat of all of lot 19 and part of lots 18 and 20 Orange Acres addition. The request will rezone said property from R2, 1 and 2 family residence district and C1 retail business district to C3 general heavy commercial district. This meeting is a joint public hearing in compliance with the rezoning ordinance of the city of Groves, in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. All right, is the Luis Espinoza here?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to address the council with your requests? What would you like to say anything about this or?
Just tell about your business.
Okay, yeah, I opened my company 3 years ago. I like to grow and I'm by this low. Couple of years before you buy the yard every day, maybe 4 feet. The owner, before the owner never cut it. Now everything is clean up and clean up for the outside, for the street. I try to keeping the safety for the neighbor, to keeping clean up for the area and I'm parking I try to change the C1 to C3 to parking dump trucks only for parking, no maintenance. Everything maintenance I'm putting in the shop, it's only for parking.
Do you have a shop there now?
No, now I'm putting my site plan in the city. The next year I try to make the big shop for warehouse, unremodeled houses and building houses, and I try to make the warehouse for material.
Council, have any questions for Mr. Espinoza?
Don, the parking, can we park on that property without having facilities? Or it's kind of like the deal on Main Avenue. We were having a
Yes, he
problem.
was supposed to have a building, and if you look at the
I didn't have a site plan.
brochure
Yeah.
that y'all was supposed to have, he does have future plans for building a warehouse. I think mostly it's for storing facilities, but if they need it and the dump trucks are not actually yours, they're going to be somebody else's, or it's going to be your dump truck.
It's my, right, for the brand.
So if you do any maintenance, you'll be doing them, we talked about it, you'll be doing them in the warehouse itself, not in the parking lot. He did replat his property. It was two parcels of land, so he did clean up at least the legal description of it. Now it's all one piece of property. It was part of it was 1 and 2 family, and the front part, that front walkway was the C1, which is retail business district. Right across the street, there's also a C3 location. I don't know what happened to his. I didn't send it to you. I probably did, and I apologize.
I would like, can we get copies of it? Cause I would like. to see
Yes,
what that is. I guess I've got a question in regards, if they're gonna park dump trucks there, will they have loaded material of any nature? Can that be parked there? The reason I ask that, because if there is hazard materials that are picked up and loaded, and the weekend is parked there, and we have heavy rains, there's residential areas, is there anything in the ordinance that would?
no, sir, there's nothing in the ordinance that deals with anything that might be left in their bed.
And I think there's been some question at the facility further down Main, that we, I think, had several discussions about. So that's kind of what brings all this to mind. Is that something that we need to consider, look at?
It may be something to look at in the ordinances itself. With respect to the
Because when
rezone.
you say parking, okay, parking is one thing, but parking a loaded truck that could have, not saying it would, but could have,
Yeah,
then it could present a problem for the neighborhood.
Yeah, but regardless, he's saying that there's not gonna be any kind of loaded material on the dump trucks regardless of anything. Cause he has his own place where he's gonna dump, he goes and dumps and everything like that. But no, like, there's nothing that could be, like, that I could think of that would be flammable or anything like that, if you would like, was gonna dump, but he's not gonna dump
That's
it regardless. Yes, sir.
But the city would have to make sure that we protect the adjacent property owners by the ordinance.
I mean, you could do inspections too if you wanted to, yes, sir. Any kind of inspection can be done, right? I mean, if you guys wanna look at it.
Don, what borders it, does it border any R1 or is it all?
No, it's all, and I apologize for not sending that to you and getting these guys. I made it all up for you guys and I didn't send it. That was, well, as you can tell, this is Beverly Drive and this is Orange Acres. And then the 1 and 2 family is orange. Of course, the apartments, Beverly's Place, the old Gulf Provincial, and is all located here. The other C3 that is directly across from his property, and just 1 and 2 family, and then of course going down, Gulfway is all either C1 or C2 zones. Until you get even further down, and they become C3s, or 73 and 87 meet.
Do they meet the requirement in the ordinance for the fence, any buffer that may be in there between the residential and his business?
Yes, ma'am. A portion, and then as they continue, they will have to do some screening along this area right here. I think they're already covered with a wooden fence. You have a wooden fence? Yeah.
On the back end? Chain link.
Yeah, with chain link.
Okay, I thought you had a wooden fence back here. Yeah, I got it back. On the back, there's a wooden fence along here because there's a home here. And then they'll have to put screening. They're aware that they're gonna have to put screening all the way around their property. You can do that screening either through privacy, like a wooden fence, or screening it in with the material that you can buy from fencing companies to darken your hurricane or chain link fence. Like the one on Main did. One of them on Main had a screen placed around his hurricane fence.
Well, the ordinance that we dealt with on the dump trucks, I believe it was last year.
Yes, ma'am.
That was just to rezone them to the C3 zone, right?
That's correct.
It didn't deal with
Well, and I think it also added paving, screening, proper screening.
yes.
So yes, hard surfaces, also a building. You have to have a building in order to have dump trucks. You gotta maintenance building.
So does the building have to be up before it's approved?
Well, that would, the other ones didn't. The other ones were able to
They were already established, right?
Right, and then they brought in, of course, they had their trunks there, so they eventually got their buildings after their trucks were on location.
Does he have a schedule maybe when he may be looking to put the building up?
I think that would probably depend on whether we grant him the C3 or not.
No, I understand that. Part of the schedule, but he would be looking.
Is that at the start of the new year? That's the plan. Once he starts finishing up
January, February.
in the middle, yeah, January, February. Yeah, so far he's spent around 350,000, like trying to clean up and do everything that's right for the city ordinance and everything like
It
that.
looks very nice.
Yeah, and
Not opposed to what you're trying to do.
yes, sir. And then so what we're trying to do is once we start completing more houses and stuff like that, we're gonna put more money into to getting the facility and everything like that for the
You
truck.
start
and
doing
everything.
what now?
For the trucks. Yeah, for the warehouse.
Houses.
Yeah, once they start finishing, like they do construction and everything like that. So once they complete houses, sell them and everything like that, you know, some money will go towards like, you know, getting more material to finishing up and being on plan.
Okay.
Don, what was the property used for previously? Just vacant? Is there already water and sewer?
Yes, coming along, the water was on Beverly Drive and the sewer was on the Orange Acre side.
So let me extended.
Or was it vice, yeah, vice versa, but either they got it all connected there, building connected.
So it's been a while since something was there.
There was something there long time ago in the late nineties, I think it was torn down, and I don't remember for the life of me what it was.
Wooden welding.
No, that's a little bit.
Okay, further down.
And further down, it was I can't remember what it was, there was something there at one point.
Any other questions from council? All right, planning and zoning, do you have any questions?
I would just like to, from my memory from our first meeting addressing this. Yeah. So. Rodney said he was planning his own chair. So per the first meeting that we had, with the group about this, from my memory, I'm saying, and wanted to confirm ingress and egress with these trucks, I believe it's off of Gulfway Drive is the intention of the drives, because there was other side streets, and I wanted to confirm with them to make sure that's where the traffic's going to be with these trucks. And of course, they do remodeling and building of homes, residents. So from what I understood is the warehouse and all is to store material or other equipment needed associated with the business model. So anyway, I just wanted to confirm that.
Right.
Because I didn't hear any talk about that. And that's always, when we talk about dump trucks, heavy equipment, C3 heavy commercial property, is that traffic ingress and egress and stuff. So, thank
So
you.
they will not be driving through the neighborhoods.
The neighborhood, that's always been a concern. Thank you. That's the only question.
Of course, both those streets are dead ends, so really wouldn't profit them to use those streets, but they are planning to use just Gulfway. Egress and egress.
All right, at this time, we're going to ask for any property owners within 200 feet who wish to speak in support of the request. Anybody who does, please sign in on the support for the request. Any property owners within 200 feet who wish to speak in support of the request. Okay. Any property owners within 200 feet who wish to speak against the request also must sign in on the against sheet. Any property owners within 200 feet who speak against the request. Okay. Any citizens of Groves who wish to speak in support of the request. Any citizens of Groves who wish to speak against the request? All right. That being done, read the statement. No action will be taken at this meeting. The Planning and Zoning Commission will meet independently and submit a recommendation to the City Council. Final determination of the request will be made at a future council meeting. I'd like to thank everybody for your participation. We will adjourn at 5:54. Thank you.